me what parenting looked like in the Bible. And he did. So we this evening, for these few minutes, we're going to touch on biblical parenting. And it's not so much, there's some how-to in there, but the Lord showed me what parents looked like during biblical times. They found him, they burst in, and Jesus replies, and he said to them, "How is it that you sought me? Was ye not that I must be about my Father's business?" But at 16, 17, and 18, they're still children. A lot of us at 19, 20, and 22 were still children. Mentally, emotionally, we were still children. We were legally of age, but we were out making decisions. And then, have you ever disciplined your child and they look at you confused? Jesus had been gone 3 days, they were gone. Why are you disciplining me for something now? See, another issue is we wait too long. If you let a meal sit for too long, it goes bad. If you let work go undone for too long, somebody's in trouble. But for some reason, we seem to think we can let children just go a little further and a little further and a little further. And finally, when we're at the end of our ropes, then they're going to understand the consequence to this discipline. But what really happens is they've gone so far that they forgot where they originally started in the issue. So they're confused as to, am I being disciplined because I lied, because I doubled down on the lie, because I did this other stuff over here? And we're just angry. We're not even correcting the behavior. We're just angry. And so then I said, okay, Lord, I got you. I felt that rebuke. And he took me to the Old Testament, 1 Samuel chapter 1, and he showed me Hannah. So it says here, again, for the sake of time, it says, verse 19, they rose up in the morning early and worshiped before the Lord and returned and came to their house in Ramah. And Elkanah knew Hannah his wife, and the Lord remembered her. Wherefore it came to pass, when the time was come, about after Hannah had conceived, that she bare a son, and called his name Samuel, saying, Because I have asked him of the Lord. And the man Elkanah and all his house went up to offer unto the Lord the yearly sacrifice and vow. Verse 22, But Hannah went not up, for she said unto her husband, I will not go up until the child be weaned, and then I will bring him, that he may appear before the Lord, and there abide forever. And Elkanah her husband said unto her, Do what seemeth thee good. Tarry until thou hast weaned him. Only the Lord establish his word. So the woman abode and gave her son suck until she weaned him. See, what I was shown here in verse 23, Hannah's husband didn't argue with her need to keep that child at home until he weaned. He trusted his wife's decision and supported her. They were parenting on one accord. He also trusted the relationship that Hannah had with the Lord, because this was a woman who was in the temple that the priest thought to have been drunk. She was praying so hard for this child. Her husband freely gave her the space to allow God to guide her without opinion or objection. See, our children are watching. They're watching how we relate to each other. And if mommy says no, but daddy says yes, they're going to play that card. If you're not a team, if you're not together, then there's always going to be some level of division. It said in verse 23, when he said unto her, Do what you feel is necessary, he also recognized the fact that Hannah may have known something he didn't. Oftentimes as parents, and I'll use myself being transparent, I purposefully wasn't around people with children before I had them. For what? My husband, he has siblings, but that was so long ago, we didn't know what to do with a child. We were kind of winging it. You know, if these moves win the game, let's try them again tomorrow and see if we can get another one. But see, that only goes so long. In verse 28, we see it says, Therefore also I have lent him to the Lord. This is Hannah. And as long as he liveth, he shall be lent to the Lord, and he worshiped the Lord there. She had taken him back to the temple, given him to Eli. Hannah didn't change her parenting plan once that baby was born. Many of us are phenomenal parents until we have an actual child in front of us. I am not going to feed them junk food. They are not going to watch TV. They will not have tablet time. They will not be with people I don't know. And then that child works those few nerves, and it's like, get the Cheez-Its, watch Peppa Pig till your grandma come pick you up and take you to the park, because I just cannot. But see, Hannah, she didn't do that. She didn't change her mind. She was steadfast in her commitment to give Samuel back to God with Eli. And even though that steadfastness in her didn't change, that meant sacrificing her opportunity to raise her child. Again, they dropped Eli off. Elkanah returned home with his wife, never once saying, so you finally give me a son and now we just gonna leave him? Ever. He didn't speak against that at all. See, powerful things happen when a husband can trust his wife's relationship, especially when it comes to parenting. As mothers, as nurturers, whether you work outside of the home or inside of the home, we have a different connection with our children because we've known them since the very moment they were conceived. We have been working to cover and protect everything that we ate, the places we went, even down to the clothes that you wear so that you didn't restrict blood flow. Those are things you do throughout a pregnancy that dads just don't have. They get to see some kicks and hear some heartbeats, but that connection is different. He didn't object. And if he had, how that would have changed the life of his son. And even though they dropped Hannah off at the temple, they did not abandon Eli. In verse, 2:19, it says, moreover, his mother made him a little coat and brought it to him from year to year when she came up with her husband to offer the yearly sacrifice. We have a culture where when our children get to a certain age, you're on your own. Figure it out. You're old enough to know better. You should be smart enough to make this work. But see, what God is showing us here is Samuel had room, board. He had people looking over him. He had teachers and mentors. He had everything he seemingly needed. Yet his parents were still active in his life. When our children grow up, do they have jobs with people training them? Of course. Do they have teachers guiding them? Sure, but they still need us as parents. And it can be tiresome. I have been guilty of saying, I can't wait till my children are grown, I can sleep through the night. But in looking through this word, the Lord says, no, that's not how this works. Because whether they're adults, you still got to pray for them, they're still your child. If they're sick, you're going to care for them because that's still your child. Hannah went home after committing Eli to the Lord. She went on to have 3 more sons and 2 daughters. The Lord showed me when we are faithful with little, we'll be trusted with much. He did not let her prayers go void at all. I have so many notes here. We're going to have to come back and do this. But one other thing I want to point out, one other example before I get out of here is Genesis 38, verses 1 through 30. Now, I'm not going to read them all to you. I'm going to give you the QNT, the Q's New Translation Version. We're going to give you the summary right quick. So here's what happened. So we have Judah. He's the brother of Joseph. He married a Canaanite, conceived 3 sons. We have Onan, and Shelah. We'll go with that. So we have who was considered to be wicked in the sight of God. God slew him. Then we have Onan, who was instructed to go in with wife and make a family. And instead of having relations biblically, he let his seed spill on the ground. And God slew him. So now we have Judah, who sees, Tamar. He says, okay, well, my oldest son is dead. The middle son gone. The younger one, he's not old enough to be married quite yet. So he sends Tamar home to wait until his youngest son is old enough to marry. Now, Joseph was a rapscallion in this sense because he knew he didn't intend to fully keep that word. He sent her home saying to himself, okay, well, I'll be there to get her when my son is old enough to marry. Okay. She goes home. As she hears Joseph coming through, she gets word, and she says, you know what, I'm going to try something. So she covers herself up. She goes out to Joseph, speaks to him a little sweetly, they end up having relations, and she asks for a token, some sort of collateral. So he leaves her his ring. In that exchange, she became pregnant with twins. Now, here's my point. Here's why we're talking about this. While Judah may not have intended to have sex with Tamar, he knew he was going to have sex with a prostitute. He fully intended and was fully aware of that decision. But look at his sons. The decisions they made caused them to lose their lives because they went against that which God declared of them. But they learned it from their daddy. Because I'm sure, I don't know what happened, but this was probably not the first time that Judah did something that was out of character or indecent in the sight of the Lord. Our children don't do what they hear us say. They do what they watch us do. And if I say don't lie, and then someone comes to the door and we say, tell them I'm not home. Well, we taught them that lying is okay. If we tell them not to lie and then we get to the amusement park and it's like 3 and under free. Okay, she a little short. Sister, tell them you 3. But I'm fine. No, just tell them you 3. Well, now we're teaching them it's okay to be dishonest for gain. So when this occurred, what Judah was essentially showing us was that he helped lead to the destruction of his sons, not considering how his actions were going to affect his family. When we do things merely for our temporary pleasure or for our momentary gain or that suit us as individuals, when we have children, what we have to understand is that all of those things affect them. Because if we go off on somebody at the job, now granted, I have not clocked in about 8 years, so I don't know what my act right would be if I had to do all the things every day. But then what happens if that same coworker that you spoke so horribly to, you see them in public? Now your child is trying to figure out who's that person that's talking to mommy like that and why. Or when they see us disrespect our spouses, how do we explain that away? As a person who's had friends who have found out their parents' adulterous relationships and then asked to keep it a secret, we put our children in a position to want to be like Christ when we bring them to church and slowly pull it out of them as we act unaccording to the word. And one of the things that I tell my girls consistently when it comes to honesty, I said, Satan is the father of lies. Jesus is the Son of God. And if he's in your heart, then you have to make a choice. Because the father of lies, well, when you begin to lie, you start to act like your daddy. Oh, we had a 0. And if you're going to act like the father of lies, then the Father of Christ cannot dwell in you. And you be calm and have peace. So you have to choose. And in that moment, they look at me like, what? And they may not get it now. But one day, they will recall, okay, well, I have a choice to make. Because I know I can't serve 2 masters. So as we bring this to a close, I thank God for these revelations in parenting that he has been showing to me throughout the scriptures. There's so many more that we can dive into, but I'm so thankful that Christ came and died for us, that we can have these truths to begin with. And so be encouraged, parents, because listen, how to do this is already written. All we got to do is listen to it in the book.